let's go. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. We just started number 1, or did we finish it? Finished it. Great. So let's check out number 2. Number 2 is going to require completing the square. Don't want that. So when it comes to your homework, I'm okay with you guys using Desmos to graph it and then finding the solutions on a couple of them. So if we take a look, I think there are about 4 to 6 graphing problems. Okay? Do a few of them, do however many graphing problems there are, do half of them completely by hand to show me that you know what you're doing or you're getting the process down. After that, it just gets a little tedious. Jump to Desmos, skip to put in the inputs, show the graph, show the amount of times. Understand that it can cross 0, 1, or 2 times and show that. All right, or whatever your graphing utility of choice is. At your age, I don't think you guys have a graphing utility of choice. You probably just take my word for it to use Desmos. Anyhow, first thing we need to do, what's squared on this, x or y? X, so therefore it's a vertical or horizontal parabola. It is a vertical parabola. Kaylee, you're the one who actually has the note right in front of you that tells you which one it is, because if x is squared on that, x is the one that's squared, it's vertical. If y is squared, it's horizontal. So x is squared, therefore it is a vertical parabola, which means I want y by itself on one side. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to move all of the x term, anything that's not y, I'm going to move to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to move all of this to the other side. And all that's going to do is change the signs of them. Correct. But I can't graph that just looking at it. I need it to be in vertex form. Which means it needs to be that x minus h squared plus k. So I need to complete the square. So what do I do, Raymond? Ramirez. How do I get there? Kaya?
You find that A, B, and C.
Well,
A is 1.
I don't need A, though. Isaac. Take B, which in the case is 4. Have it. Have and square B. Half and square B. My B is 4, so I did need B. My B is 4. Half of that is 2, so I add 2 squared. Yeah, I'm just completing the square. Okay. I'm just completing the square.
So they cancel each other out.
Yeah, so I didn't really do anything to this because I added 2 squared and subtracted 2 squared. But I completed the square. I took half of 4, which is 2 squared, added it, and subtracted it from the same side. I can do that instead of what you do to one side, you do to the other. Or I can just stay on one side and just make sure I do opposites on the same side, because then I'm still not really doing anything. The square is now completed. So this is going to be x minus 2 squared. 6 minus 4 is 2. So now I know my parabola. Now I can graph my parabola pretty easy. But the other one, I want to get it into slope-intercept form. Y plus x equals 4. I want y equals mx plus b, so let's get the x to the other side. Subtract x. Y equals negative x plus 4. So where's the vertex of this? Positive 2, positive 2. So that's in quadrant 1. Is it facing up or down? Up. It's in quadrant 1 and it's facing up. I don't need quadrant 4 then. I don't need really quadrant 2 or 3. So I'm going to make a really big quadrant 1 in this box. Just looking at that, I don't need the other quadrants really. So here's a really big quadrant one. Because if I put it in the center, I run the risk of my parabola running off the graph. Sorry, Bethany, that you already drew your XY axes. My vertex is at 2, 2. And what is the A value on this parabola? 1. I like it when it's 1 because then I can just follow that pattern that I taught you guys. Out 1, up 1. Out 2, up 4. Okay, so from this dot, out 1, up 1. Out 2, up 4. And if I do out 3, if I go up 9, I'm going to go off of it, so I'm not going to worry about it. 1 squared is, 2 squared is, I know, and that's why I'm answering. Telepathy. We're one. Like that SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob donated an organ to Squidward and he lifted up the shirt and they were connected. Yeah, he had a heart attack. Or was it when he? Or no, it was when he broke his voice box. Laugh box. No, that one only had it when Squidward in the end was laughing like SpongeBob.
Okay, so like you know how you just said telepathy?
Yes.
My horoscope just popped up and it said experiment with telepathy. Creepy. That's wild, huh? Or just
Yes. That was completely random.
I actually believe in horoscopes.
Okay. All right, guys, I got my parabola. That line sucked. Okay. Now I need my line. Where does that line go through the y-axis? 4. And then the slope of it is? Right? Here. What's the slope of it? Down 1, right 1. So there's my line. How many times did it cross the parabola? Barely twice, but still twice. Right? Barely, but still twice. At 1, 3 and at 2, 2. So those are my two solutions. Graphing only works when things are pretty, though. Or easy. Or pretty easy. Now, algebraically, they are still, I warned you guys, they're still going to be time-consuming, but they're not difficult. They will follow the same pattern. We're probably going to get through, at the minimum, 2 of the next, we're going to get through 3 and 4 for sure. Maybe we'll get 5 also. And then I'm going to jump at that point to number 9 just to make sure that we're not intimidated by words. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. That I put down in words. Talk about Moulin Rouge? Oh, Rocket Man? I know. You have. I'll be there. I'll sing it for you. Yeah. All right, guys. Step 1. Take your line. Shh. Take your line. Solve for a variable. Step 1, take your line and solve for your variable. Which one's your line? The top one or the bottom one? Top one's a line. Exponents on those are each 1, so the top one's a line. This one is an ellipse. I can't hear you, Siona. You got to talk louder. You should. This is going to take some room. Oh, God, really? It's so dramatic. Me, just slap her in the back of the head. No. Oh shoot, was that on camera? Oh. No, Mia, I would never tell you to hit another student.
Unless they're giving them the high.
You don't need to. It's already recorded. He doesn't have to. He just needs to listen. All right, guys, get solve for a variable. Schnicker, which one am I going to solve for? Do you want to solve for y or x up here? Let's solve for x. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite it really quick. I've got 9y minus 6x equals 0. Let's start getting x by itself. What are you going to do first? Or subtract it, I would say. So let's go and subtract 9y to the other side. Because for some reason, when you guys want to solve for a variable, you're obsessed with it being on the left side. It's your comfort blanket. Okay, let's go ahead and finish solving for x. Schnicker, what do I get? What do I do? Divide by negative 6. And x equals, what is negative 9 divided by negative 6 reduced down to? 3 over 2. Negative over a negative makes a positive, and 3 goes into both of those, so that reduces to 3y over 2. Now that I know what x is, I move on to step 2. I go ahead and substitute it into my squared equation. So I'm going to take this value of x, and it's going to take the place of that x right there. Step by step, we'll make the journey. What's that, Elias? Okay. So now I'm going to do the substitution. So I get 3 over 2 y squared over 45 plus y squared over 5 equals 1. So I just did the substitution. I took what x equals and I substituted it into my ellipse.
Oh my gosh, a fraction over a fraction.
It'll be all right. Yes. Destiny, what is 3 halves squared? 9 over 4. The square is also hitting that y, so I get 9 over 4 y squared over 45 plus y squared over 5 equals 1. Huh? No, you can move closer, though. Yeah, see right here.
Yes.
Yes, Holly?
Why is the square still there?
Because the squared applied to each item. The squared applied to the 3, the 2, and the y.
So it's still on the y?
It's still on the y. It's still on the y. Okay. So we can do a couple of things here. We can do a couple of things. We need to, however you want to proceed forward with this. If we actually solve for y first, this ends up a little easier, but not too much, because that's what they did third period. So here, what would I do? What do you guys want to do? There are multiple attacks that we can do. Not yet. And at no point will I actually do a common denominator on this problem. No? Multiply what by 45? Both sides? Sure. Sure, that's a little lengthy, but we could do that. Let's go ahead and do that.
Wouldn't it just be like,
Well, don't forget, if you have a fraction divided by a number, these just multiply. 4 times 45. Okay. So it'd be 9 y squared over 180 plus y squared over 5 equals 1. 4 times 45 gives us 180. 9 does go into 180, so that fraction can be reduced.
But don't you have to multiply 45? Wait, multiply 1 by 45? Thank you.
No, I just combined here. I just reduced this fraction. Well, it's a simplification of it. That is a simplification of it. 9/4 divided by 45 is 9 1/80. So now we reduce this. This is going to be 1/20. Actually, I should put y squared. The 9 cancels. I get y squared over 20 plus y squared over 5 equals 1. All right. Now, this is just the route you take. I'm willing to go with any route you guys take. Question, Gabriela.
What is the y squared over, is that 20?
Yes. 9 over 180 reduces to 1 over 20. Yes. No, I don't need to. I don't need to because I eventually want y by itself. So let's just go ahead and get rid of all fractions on the left by doing one thing. Beating them up. No. 4 times 45. What do I do? Somebody here's got to have the answer. Richard, what do I do? Kaya?
Do you multiply by 2y squared or y squared or something?
Something would be correct.
Okay.
Mia? Can't cross multiply because of that addition in between. If I just had a fraction equal something, I could. I don't want to add them because then I got to get a common denominator and that's wasting my time. Okay, Sione? One last try. Go ahead. No. I want to get rid of the denominators, guys. What number will get rid of a divide by 20 and a divide by 5? No. 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 If I distribute 20 divided by 20, cancels. So that 20 will be gone. But I need to continue distributing. What's 20 divided by 5? 4. So I get 1y squared plus 4y squared equals 25. 20. Because I can't multiply 1 times 20. Raymond. 1y squared plus 4y squared is 5y squared. Divide by 5. I'm squeezing it right here, folks. Square root. Give me both answers. Y equals plus or minus 2. We're not done. What is our solution? Our solution is, give me a noun. Our solution or solutions are, it was literally taught to you with the word yesterday. It's a word that you already knew. Our solutions are coordinates. Coordinates.
That is not in his vocab.
I've only got the y half of my coordinates. I need the x half of my coordinates.
So, we doing more?
Okay. You guys are talking, so I'm just going to run through this, and then you can ask me why in a second. Ain't nothing but a heartache. Okay. Now I can see that we're falling apart from the way that it used to be. Yeah. I bet you that would make a great mole song.
Yes.
I let you guys dictate my way.
Okay, what's this mole day everybody's talking about? I'm just like,
It's
this
just
mole.
chemistry.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Because I feel real dumb.
Are we okay that we found y? Found two values. Way up there, way early on in the problem, I found what x equaled. X equaled 3/2 of y. So if I substitute my two values of y that I found here, I can find my two corresponding values of x, and I get my two coordinates. This pattern keeps happening. Now this problem, believe it or not, is twice as long as the next question. Okay? So in this case here, number 4 ends up being significantly, well, by perspective, shorter than number 3.
What is by perspective mean?
In other words, what you consider long or short is not what I consider long or short. You okay? Just didn't want to hear Backstreet Boys? What's going on? No. Let's do this next one, Elias. Who wants to help me with it then?
I do.
Then you're promising.
You gotta help me.
No, you're promising me.
You know, Bates, I got you. I won't let you down.
Okay.
I'll try.
Elias. Elias. All right. That's what I want to hear.
Alright,
So,
we'll start with the top one.
why?
Because we want to get x, well, y equals x plus.
So I want to start with the top one?
Oh, we'll do the bottom one. We'll subtract 10x. And then you get y equals nx. Negative 10x. Plus 0.
Okay, now what do I do, Elias? Got my y value. Why?
Elias was answering the whole time.
Positive. Come on, bro. I'm helping you. You're supposed to be smarter than me. Alright. Now you can add. Yeah. And then you get 101x squared. Divide both sides by 101. X squared equals. Now you square root both sides.
Yeah.
Square root of 1. See what you're supposed to help me out with this. Does someone want to help me, please? I'm stuck.
Wouldn't it be plus or minus 1?
Oh, plus or minus 1. Shut up. I got you all
Okay.
the way down to that.
Don't call him dummy. Okay, yes, the square root of 1 is 1, and don't forget we square root both sides, we get a plus or minus.
I thought we were supposed to do.
Thank you, Gabby.
Welcome.
That one was.
You didn't finish that sentence.
Oh wait.
All right.
It was supposed to be x equals
No.
for the first part, but I guess not. Oh no, you get to decide.
Yeah, you pick whatever variable you want. You pick whichever variable you want. So x is plus or minus 1. We have half of our coordinate again. So I'm going to plug it into here. Y equals, so x equals 1 or x equals negative 1. I plug it into y equals negative 10 times 1. Y equals negative 10 times negative 1. Y is negative 10. Y is positive 10. So my coordinate is 1, negative 10, and negative 1, 10. You tell me, Destiny. You did. You did a lot of that on your own. Oh, I was trying to give you some credit. Never mind. No. It was all Sione.
I don't know why he got stuck. He knew what he was doing, he just didn't say it. I was caught up in the moment.
This magic moment, so different and so new. No, I just realized why this class is so giggly.
Why?
Just boy to girl ratio.
Oh, because there's more girls.
It is skewed heavily. Ten guys? 10 guys, that means there are 22 girls. Oh. I'm in transition, Sione. So. Hey guys. Oh, Seth. Okay. There are, not theirs. There. But then girls is plural. There are only. I was just going off. I just know there are 32 students in here, so when they said there are 10 guys, that's 22 girls. That's the only thing I was going off of. I didn't do the count myself. I just did the subtraction. Guys, any questions? So we did 2 of them. The process doesn't change. Number 5 will be the same way. You pick one of them to solve for, substitute it, solve. Okay? I'm going to skip to number 9 for a minute. We've still got lots of time. Ladies, we still have 9 minutes of class left, but I want to do number 9 before we go, just so you guys can see. Doesn't change. Although number 9 in particular, I'm going to use a different technique, one that you should, but you probably won't, remember from Algebra 1. Yeah, a lot of you guys, anybody who says, like, when they're asking who's your Algebra 1 teacher, if the answer is Mr. Bates, hold your head in shame if you don't remember the technique. Well, the technique I'm going to use, Solaria, is a Algebra 1 technique afterwards. So, we've got our line. Hey, it's right there. Okay? We've got our line. So some rocket takes off at 15 t, so it's going pretty steep. That means it goes up 15 every second. At 15 feet, after every second it goes up 15 feet, shooting fast. Okay? Yeah, so just like super steep. Then at the same time, a ball is launched. So like you have this rocket sitting right here, and then you have like this ball launcher, right? And it's just going to go thump, and it's going to shoot this ball out, right? And the ball is going to kind of go in this parabolic arc. It's not going to go like the rocket does, right? So just visually thinking about it, right? We've got this rocket going at time 0, and at the exact same time, this ball is like thump, right? And so we need to see whether or not it actually will do what I just drew. Is it going to? It's obviously going to cross each other at time 0. At time 0, they're both right next to each other, right? But will the ball end up crossing paths with the rocket at some other point in time? Or is the ball going to be like down here or something, at which point it never does cross? Or is it some other type of cross, something like that? You know, who knows? So that's what we're checking. But we were lucky because this is already solved. This is already solved for H. Yay. And then we have this. So since this is already solved for h, I can just take that value and plug it in. "30-second digestion." I was acting like I don't have more written on here. I thought like you missed something, and I was like, wait a minute. Elias.
Would you have to set both sides to 0?
Why would you want to set both sides to 0, Elias?
No, I'll just ask.
The answer is yes, but why would you want to?
I think that's something with
We okay, Destiny? So if we have a quadratic, we can solve it using formula if we set it equal to 0. Now, I'm going to take that first step. I'm going to set it equal to 0, but I'm going to super cheat with an Algebra 1 technique. Okay?
Is it a big cheat or a little cheat?
It's a big cheat. Oh, yes. I'd encourage it. Because cheats only occur when in specific circumstances. You guys are going to hear that, and you're going to think there's like a manatee in the background. It's just like, what's going on? It's like Mr. Bates is teaching, and you're... We like Nature Channel. Sure, it'll be 30. Yeah. We'll have some sort of British announcer going. The beauty of the manatee is as they breach the water, you can see. So, thank you for catching that. 32, who is that? Sione. I'll throw you a point later.
Well, she said the answer, but I just said you should have subtracted it.
Oh, I didn't subtract. I was distracted by the echolocation. Destiny lost where she was for a second. She was just like, "Where am I?" Oh, okay, I got it. Waiting for the bounce back. Okay. So, all right, guys, Algebra 1 technique. Shh, focus. Okay. This is what Alicia was going to be doing anyways. Alicia wouldn't look at that, and she wouldn't use the quadratic formula. That's ridiculous, right, Alicia? All right. What would you do? What would you do? If you don't mind me asking. Okay. Going to cut you off. So Alicia looks at this, and she says, wait a minute. Hold on a second. What's the C value on this? 0. When C is 0, we shouldn't use the quadratic formula because we can factor this. What can both terms give up? T. Both terms can give up a t. If you want, you can go further and say both terms could give up a 2t, but let's just go with t. If I factor a t out of the first term, what do I have? Negative 16. Nope. Just t. Just t. This, remember guys, factoring is dividing. So I took a t out of this. It had 2 t's. So if I took a t out, it's only got 1 left. I'm doing what Algebra 1 we would have done. This is factoring, and it's what Alicia would have done as well. No, she's not doing anything advanced. This is easy stuff. Okay? So, takes a t out. Now, when we have multiple things, each one must be equal to 0. So at time 0, at t equals 0, they crossed. Of course they did. They started at the same place at the same time. But then also at negative 16t plus 30, they'll also cross. They will also cross then. You set each one. Each one gets equal to 0. Each factor. When it's equal to 0, each one of these factors, or all of them, could be 0. I have 2 things that I'm multiplying. Right? I don't know what they are, but I know when I multiply them, they equal 0. What must one of them be?
0.
One of them has to be 0. Because the only thing that can multiply to 0 is 0. So this could be 0, sure. Or this whole thing could could be 0. All right? Subtract 30. Negative 16t is equal to negative 30. Divide by negative 16 and reduce. And t is going to be equal to 15/8. So they crossed at 0, and in fact, the ball will cross with the rocket or whatever it is also at time equals 15/8. Hey, what do you know? That covers our bases on how to do your homework. Hopefully with parent-teacher conferences, I'll get you a homework getting out tonight. Be ready, a homework video. If you want to hear sounds of the whale, by all means play it back. 5 to 7 is parent-teacher conferences.